gonna say that Bryce Miller just needed to go back to Texas and he would reset. He went back to Texas and he obviously did not reset.
I
No, you
mean,
did
going
not.
back to DFW is not going to heal anything.
Yeah,
Least of
you'd
all,
know
your
that better
soul.
than I.
Mm.
Oh, you're great. All right, welcome back to Mariner Mondays. A bit more of a morbid Mariner Monday today after the Seattle Mariners Baseball Club LLC got swept aside by our Canadian neighbors, eh? Even though, and obviously, crowd doesn't totally affect it, but it wasn't as Canadian as it been has been in years past. Don't know why that could be. Of course, we know why. Yeah, man, this was a rough past week. Well, a rough series. Kind of a that athletic series just kind of put you in a torture chamber. I hated all three of those games. It was not fun. I hate that ballpark. I think Luis Severino the other day basically came out and said I hate pitching here. Not verbatim, but like the quote was like, "You do all this routine and you come here." And it's like basically
Yeah.
saying he hates pitching here
Isn't
because
he signed on for like at
they
least three
signed him
more
to a
years?
good deal. I mean, they're good on the road, so but yeah. So the Mariners won. Oh Jesus, sorry, I just looked ahead to the rest of the month. Uh, ooh,
Don't do
yuck.
that.
I'm sorry. It's right there.
It's going to be a long May.
All right, let's do this. All right. So yeah, they go down to Sacramento for 3 games to finish out that 6 game road trip after taking the series set against the Rangers. Um, and they win the series. I mean, they made it 9 consecutive series wins. The first one was ugly and frustrating. They lose by a run. It's ballpark, man. They lose in 11 innings. So they've gone, I think, into at least 4 11 inning games this year, which very odd. Just frustrating. Jacob Wilson is a pest, and I hate playing against him, and I will hate playing against him probably for years, unless something happens to him. But the Mariners would bounce back to win the next few games, 5-3 and 6-5. Carlos Vargas got a save in that second game, which I did not expect, and Cal Raleigh came up clutch. He was off on the bench. They were going to give him the off day, and his glorious backside came and saved the Mariners' backside to even the set and then give you the rubber match the next day. The next day, uh, um, they needed 2 runs in the 8th inning to come back. They had to do another comeback attempt. Ready to Les homered too, by the way. He keeps doing that, which is kind of weird,
Right field
which is a
might
recurring
be a
thing.
problem for other
Might be.
teams.
Um, and Andres Munoz got his 13th save of the season. So they had the off day on Thursday. They come back. Toronto comes to town. Um, And I thought this was going to be a feisty series because it was when they went to Toronto, right? Jose Barrios got his little ass hurt because he was upset at Cal swinging his arm. I was like, come on, grow up. Um, so the Mariners won that. They did the whole lose the first game bit and then win the series bit, and also scored 8 runs in the next 2 games. They didn't do any of that besides losing the first game in this series. And they only put up 3 runs at most in the first two games of this one. Uh, I think Brittany tweeted out, but the rotation in this one just didn't look great. The starting rotation did not look great. Luis Castillo gave up 5 runs across 3 innings to begin the game on that opener. The Mariners kind of put a comeback effort together. They got 2 in the 6th and had the bases loaded in the 8th with no outs. And then they did the 2020, is that a 3 Mariners bid or a 4 Mariners bid where they
Both.
just, yeah, it's a
It's
double
both years.
double barrel right there for you. So they lost that game 3-6. They lost the second game 3-6 after having a 3 run lead. And kind of collapsing. Carlos Vargas, who had been so reliable for basically the entire season until that point, took a big fat turd in the eighth inning. I can speak English. Excuse me. And that was kind of it. I think the only cool thing about that game was Ready to Les homering again, which, as Jake mentioned, could be a problem for other teams, maybe. And Matt Brash was back. at home, that is. So that was nice. And then they got swept aside in the Sunday Mother's Day game. They showed that they do not like moms. I should have spent my
Knew
entire
it.
day in the mom
I
zone
knew it.
at T-Mobile Park. I made this joke already when I saw it on Saturday. Um, 9-1, man. I had to go across the street to the rain game in the fifth inning after Bryce Miller gave up a batting practice tank to George Springer, and it just got worse from there. So yeah, we have questions about that. That's what's happened over the past week. Um, before I get to my question about the rotation, and maybe you can factor your answer into the rotation, right? How how concerning is that? Because, after every series win, there were so many questions on the internet, right, about how sustainable this is. Um, so I don't know. Is this Blue Jays series a sign of the collapse starting for the Mariners, or is it, hey, you need to get slapped in the face sometimes and you'll be fine, right? Because I mean, it's a 162 game season. They were going to get swept again eventually after the Giants series where they got swept, right? But I mean, it's not an easy bounce back team to play when the New York Yankees come to town.
Ugh.
So
No get right series, that's for sure.
yeah, that doesn't come until maybe the White Sox, and it's not like the Mariners have played the White Sox super easy last year when they sucked, right?
Yeah.
Um, Brittany, where are you at with this team after this series? And then Sir Jake of Parr.
Yeah. Um, Starting with the hitting, I think I'm starting to maybe be persuaded a little bit more that this is sustainable to a degree. If we go back to August 23rd of last year, is that when Edgar came in? Roughly around that time. That's a pretty good stretch from August to now. That is a relatively good sample size to say, okay, hey, like maybe they have something. Now they need to get Luke Rayleigh back and good Luke Rayleigh. So that's really needed. They need to figure out the Donovan Solano situation, which I think is just getting rid of him. Figuring it out. I mean, get rid of him.
I'm
Um,
exploding him with my mind.
exactly. We need Jake to get in there and fix things here. Um, Ben Williamson is going to probably look like a 650 OPS player. That's just kind of where he's at in his development. So they need one more bat in addition to getting Luke Rayleigh back, I think. I don't know what that looks like. I have a whole other rant on trade deadline stuff, but I think this is somewhat sustainable. They're not going to be God mode every single series, though. And that is where you need the heart and soul of your team, the foundation of your team to do its job. And that is really the biggest concern is this Mariners rotation. Now, granted, they are down George Kirby and they are down Logan Gilbert. They are 23rd in ERA with a 4.34 ERA. Like, that doesn't cut it. That's your team is built on this and it can't be a 4.34 ERA. Even even more surprising, they're 21st in whip with a 1.31 whip, which is not their identity. So yeah, I it's way too early. It's May, but I've been eyeing Andrew Heaney, wondering what Pittsburgh would want for him. Looking at some of those other teams and what arms they have, because I think you're going to have to bring someone in. I don't know what you have with Luis Castillo going on right now. Bryce Miller very clearly needs an IL stint, and you have no idea what you're getting back in George Kirby and potentially Logan Gilbert. So I think they have to bring some sort of other innings eater in at some point, unless Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans can just sustain kind of what they're doing right now. I don't know what that looks like.
They can lock in. It's yeah, the pitching has been, I don't want to say bad, but I do want to say fascinating this year because yeah, they've been giving up a lot of runs. They're still good at the things that they were good at last year and the year before, which is limiting home runs and putting the ball on the ground. Like they still have one of the highest ground ball rates for pitching, and one of the lowest home run per fly ball rates, which is good. You would expect that
For
to.
generations. Oh boy. Even sharing
Oh,
meals. Oh boy. And the hold on. Of
uh,
What has happened?
something about sharing meals, which I guess the Mariners pitchers have been sharing meatballs recently. Uh,
Ah,
yeah.
Fangraphs has ads now. My bad.
Oh, that's a shame. Um, yeah, no, it's but the pitching has been rough. I with those like distribution of hit types, right? Of
Yeah.
high ground ball rates and low home run per fly ball, you would expect the amount of runs per game to go down. Surely we're not going to be putting up Rockies numbers for the other team forever. Um, Giving up 6 runs, and then 9 runs to the Blue Jays at home is extremely stinky, and it has felt that like when they've been getting hit around like that, it hasn't always been barrels and great contact. A lot of the time, it's been pesky little garbage hits sneaking through, which I guess is how they've been able to put up a lot of runs. Extreme like recently, especially with the first game against the Rangers last weekend, where just everything was going the Mariners' way. You live by that, you die by that. Sometimes when we get um, Gilbert and Kirby back for real, I will be much. I feel like we're in a much better place when Donovan Solano has been uh, detonated into 1,000 tiny pieces. I will feel better as well. Hey, we talked last week about how, the fact that the team was winning was buying him more time. They did just get swept, so now would be the time to
Silver linings, man.
yeah.
silver linings.
I mean, so that'll be what I'll be looking for today is I'm just gonna get in there as soon as the clubhouse opens. All right, is the 39 jersey still in that locker?
Yeah.
With what I do have, well, like I mean, because that's part of it is like when I don't have someone to talk to down there, it's like when I don't really need to go and chop shit up with Andres. I'm just like, all right, is there a new person in this clubhouse? And if not, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go piss off because I don't need to bother Tucker anymore and get I fed him enough the other day. God.
Surely sending
Um
Donovan Solano up against the New York Yankees would constitute something of
Oh, brother.
a
watch,
tank
just for
job
this
somehow.
talk, he's starting tonight.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say just for this talk he's gonna hit a home run, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's be realistic.
Hey, if Sebi Zavala can hit one,
Oh God, spider, spider, spider.
spider.
No,
Nightmare, 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 nightmare.
that's basically going. Oh, why didn't MLB.com have the probables? I thought today was Clark Schmidt versus Emerson, that I saw. So,
Nothing is probable anymore.
what? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I do wonder that like that has to come to an end soon because I looked over at our friend Kate with Lookout Landing. I said, so is Rowdy Tellez just your everyday first baseman now? Like, is that just what it is? Um,
I think you have to bring
because
Locklear up. I mean, you have to have a platoon option.
yeah, because while Luca exploded, um, and he's around too. I like forgot that he was hurt because he like walks around the clubhouse like he still exists, and I'm like, he's a real boy. He will. Oh, we got injury updates. I don't know if we have time for that today. Yeah, I'll try to figure it out. Um, yeah, you don't have him to play first, and even then, with Victor out, he's mostly been playing in right field, right? But since Leote's here, you're not really doing that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
did we
Solano
mention that
hasn't,
in the
huh?
in the
Oh
weekly
yeah,
pod? Did we
Leote
mention that?
Taveras gonna pick up waivers.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is tough. Leote Taveras got picked up off waivers. I mean, in his first two games, he had clutched RBIs, so that was nice. But I mean, I think he's come down a little bit back to earth. I mean, we knew the bat's been really bad this year. I don't know. I mean, it's fun to kind of watch his defensive tool play. Like the arm is kind of fun. He's kind of had a couple odd throws, I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has.
Okay.
I'm glad you
Okay.
noticed that. Yeah,
I was
there's
like,
been a
this
couple.
seems weird. Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it just makes me think of the first few series of the year, right? When the Mariners outfield was really overthrowing, like either the cutoff
Hmm.
or Cal at home, and I'm like, did you, what are we doing? Like this would remind me of when I'd first get out to practice for the start of the season, and I'd throw it, it would hit the back netting of the ballpark, and they're like, Charles, go sit down. I'm like, okay, all right, and then I'd get back out to center field later when I calm my ass down. Um, yeah, Leody Taveras got picked up, so there's that. But yeah, and I mean, someone on the tweeters, which I know is a dangerous thing. I know was like, well, he's hitting terribly. I'm like, and his most recent stretch hasn't been good. Locklear, I mean, he
Yeah,
was
I was just trying to
mashing
pull that up.
a week or two ago, but like at this point, how much worse is he than Solano? Like,
Exactly.
and how playable is he compared to Solano? Like, it's just bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
how's it lately?
I can't get my computer to cooperate, but
Will I get it first?
he has really
Oh, what the
kind
fuck?
of dipped down. He's down to an 825 OPS now. He was one dotting it to start the year. He's at a 295 average. Um, and that, the
Ooh,
strikeouts is the big thing with him. And
yeah.
that's really what you worry about. And
Ooh,
you want to be able to give him time to figure that out.
mhm.
And it sucks. I think you need to trade for a first baseman. I think you
Yeah.
need to do it sooner rather than later. I would call
Nathaniel
the
Lowe,
Orioles and see who they're willing to part with and what they want. Because you gotta.
the Orioles specifically.
I'd call the Orioles. I would.
What about Nathaniel Lowe?
Have you seen the Orioles lately?
I
Have
try
you
to ignore
have
the
you
Baltimore
watched an Orioles
Orioles.
ball game? Because I
I try not
unfortunately
to.
have, and oh man, that is yeah, they're
You know, I was
they're
gonna
having a
say
rough go.
I
Oh, they
opened it and
sure
I saw
are.
they beat the Angels. I was worried that there was a loss of the Angels, and I really would have been worried for them.
It
They're
was a
really
Uh,
5-2
having a
loss
rough
on
go.
Saturday.
who the fuck is Povich? Who is pitching for them? Well, they traded for Luis F. Castillo, so and poor Sports Illustrated thought it was them.
Yes.
I was like, oh no. Oh, at least they won the series over the Angels. Okay. Oh, they got swept by the Twins last week, though. God
They sure
damn.
did.
Brutal.
Viva la
Pesky
France.
twins.
Yeah. He hasn't had a good 2025, but he's a right-handed bat. You could call on Ryan Mountcastle. You could bring him in. You'd
Yeah.
probably be able to get him. He hasn't had a good year. You'd probably be able to get him for a decent rate. You know that he can hit and be a good ball player. Anything is better than what you're running out your right-handed option right now.
Jesus. Yeah. We can't just intimidate every hitter like Rowdy Tellez does when did you guys see when the throw from third base, I think it was Ben, kind of carried Rowdy down into the first baseline. And it just kind of like you ever see an Oklahoma driller he stepped into the hole and George Springer like threw it out of the way. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be like that rotten kid up in Toronto either. Um, all right, we're gonna do more doom and more gloom. What the hell is wrong with Bryce Miller? And if you have other thoughts on the rotation as well, you can share those because Luis, I mean, outside of a start or two this year, has just continued to go downhill. Um, Brian Wu had like his one bad start, and it wasn't even that horrible. Um, like it was different than his godlike form against the Athletics in his career. Um, Emerson's been pitching pretty solid. I mean, since that first start, like I'll continue to take what Emerson Hancock is giving me.
Yeah.
Um, but Bryce Miller, I just it's really frustrating because it's just like looking at Bryce over the course of his career, seeing a guy who continues to add pitches and tinkers like so much of that rotation does, like you get excited because I'm like he can just keep getting better, and especially with how the fastball plays, and then something fucking happened, and I don't know what. And like yeah, like I think a start or two ago, I was like, no, like no, I was thinking about this last night actually before I went honk shoe me me me. Um, when he first said he had like some tightness or whatever after his first starter at something at home. I was like, okay, he said he's dealt with it before. Like, if he's dealt with it before, then sure, let him play out. If it continues, I'll be concerned. His physical issues have continued, so obviously there is concern. I just wonder what the hell you're doing if you IL him. Because what are you bringing up Jonathan Diaz again?
You're in
Someone
trouble,
threw
man.
out Soren Lau. I was like, God bless the guy. He's got a fun story, but I don't know if I'm doing that. Um, I mean, we're playing the Casey Lawrence come on down trick again. Like, uh, you
I hear
know,
Marco Gonzalez is available.
Jesus, don't do that. It's,
I gotta get some people worked up.
I
oh,
wouldn't.
you like stoking the fire. All right.
I love stoking the fire when it comes to Marco Gonzalez because people get so worked up.
I wouldn't hate it.
No,
Thank
the
you, Jake.
bastards. No.
I
Hey,
like
maybe.
Marco.
Well, okay. So Bryce just got done. When's his next time? Like,
I
because
was gonna
George,
say, I wonder if you can run him out there for one more start and then have Curb be back
yeah, because
and do a swap there.
Hollander said that no matter what happened in George's last outing, which was a few days ago, and he located well. I mean, he gave up a couple runs, I think,
Yeah, I
but
think
he
three.
he was. I don't have. I need to have like a little paint thing. Well, maybe when the Mariners rotation is actually painting, I can have a little paint set. But he was painting the corners. I mean, the location was there. That's kind of what I'm worried about with George Kirby. So,
His
um,
velocity's okay too. He's
and that'll
sustaining
build
it.
up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like I'm happy with George, and so him getting another start makes a lot of sense to me, right? Um, yeah, well, and then the other thing is, and he's not going to be back by then either, by then, but I mean, to see Logan throwing after they said he was going to not throw for 2 weeks, I'm like, so Gumby is just, what is wrong with him?
I'm worried
Like,
about that. Honestly, I think we're gonna have a
really?
Garrett Cole situation.
Uh, yuck. He's gonna make a weird face towards Dan Service. Wow.
Jose Caballero, actually, I think it was.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
Cabby.
Bring him
I don't
home.
know. I don't like uh I don't like the order of operations in which we were discussing this injury, and it was so morose at first and seemed really bad, and now are we pushing it a little bit because we see the state of the rotation? Is he maybe not
Oh,
quite as
Logan.
anxious to be throwing um if Kirby's back and Miller isn't doing this, and Castillo isn't doing what he's doing? I don't know. I know the competitor in Logan Gilbert,
Yeah,
and I am concerned that he is just trying to push it, and I don't know if that is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I will admit
you're
that I am
not?
not a doctor. I am not. Do not take medical advice from me, but it's worrisome.
What about Bryce? I mean, is there anything that stood out? Because I mean, I don't know, like pregame yesterday, Aaron Smithgold, in his glorious hair, asked Dan, he was like, when a pitcher's command isn't there, this is the summary. I don't have the verbatim. I could look up the verbatim actually. When the pitcher's command isn't there, is it strictly a mechanics thing? Like, is it strictly like, if your mechanics are perfect, will your location always be at least somewhat fine? Or he goes, is it something else? And Dan give a Dan answer. He's not super helpful all the time, unfortunately. God bless the guy,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. It's just because in what was it? Did he start in Oakland or Texas? One of the
Who,
ones,
Bryce?
yeah. His start on the road trip was decent. Like the fastball seemed to like play a little bit more. If I
I
remember
think
correctly,
Texas.
He only went four
Texas.
innings, right?
Uh, so I don't know. I mean, my question is, have you guys seen anything that makes you go, "Oh, ding ding, it must be this," or is it just kind of something is wrong in that Texas man's body and it needs like, and I'm sure too, it's mentally, right? Because like normally to outside, right? Big Tex is always he's this silly, funny Texas man. He walked by me and said "mucho bullpen," and I was like, "Well, lately, yes, with you." I didn't say that to him, of course. No, the only thing I did to him was antagonize him, and I brought it up to Andres. I said, "Andres, Bryce, mucho bullpen," and he was like, "What does that mean?" And I go, "I don't know." And who happens to come walking by? Bryce Miller. I said, "Shit." And they got into a fun interaction in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. Like he's so outwardly kind of plays it cool and is normally fine, but like hearing him talk lately, he's frustrated. He's frustrated. I think he's
Oh,
sad about it. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
I don't
and
know.
that's what happens too, right? Like it all snowballs pretty quick. So if you don't feel good, your arm's nagging, your back's nagging, whatever else is going on with him, then you're overcompensating in certain ways in your mechanics to try and maintain your velocity, to try and locate, and that doesn't work. So then you try something else. You don't feel like yourself, which he's mentioned a couple times, not feeling like himself. And then it becomes mental. And uh, I don't know that Bryce Miller's ever been in a situation like this. So yeah, the mental part I think is definitely significant, but I'm worried about him physically.
It's been tough watching it because, like, in the back of my mind, I'm still every time I see his name come up, I'm still expecting, um, you know, Bryce Miller, it's Miller time, etc.
Ah,
Um, and then you sit down and watch the game, it's just like, oh, this just isn't working, and it's baffling. It's baffling how sudden it is, especially for such a young pitcher. You know, you'd think that something's got to work out. Something's got to be found in his soul, uh, which I think that might be where the problem is. It's in his heart. It's in his soul. It's in his fighting spirit. Um,
You don't think it's physical at all?
I'm.
All soul.
It's all in the soul.
also,
All soul. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the curveball's doing too much 12-6 right now. It's not doesn't have any glove side break. I don't know. The fastball's got rise. Like the slider kind of isn't.
There's not a lot of consistency though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just play catch, throw the ball. I don't know. I don't
just
know.
great catch.
I know.
I'm not a.
Come on,
It's
No.
doctor.
Nope. I know, right? I really think he needs an IL stint. And I don't know if that'll fix him, but if you have three different things that aren't enough to IL you, but they're all nagging enough to be really annoying and
yeah.
bug you, like that adds up, man. And he's fighting through it. He is really trying to go out there and help his team, knowing that that rotation needs him.
Mm-hmm.
And I give him all the credit in the world for trying to fight through it. Um, that's got to be such a lonely feeling walking out there knowing it is very possible I give up 6 runs today and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to fix it. He doesn't.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is I have a lot more confidence in the Mariners pitching, coaching, and direction and development to look at what's going on with Bryce and help him pinpoint and fix issues than I would with like a Mariners hitter.
Uh,
So,
That's fair enough. It's it's been tough, but you can't. I I don't know what to fix him, but like something's got to be done. We can't have like this is not Bryce Miller. He's not a 5 ERA guy.
nope.
Something can be done, and it's gotta be done pretty quickly here.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they come back today. Um, it is 8:23 in the morning, so I don't think Jerry and Justin are in their jammies transacting, but who knows? Um,
I wouldn't be
some that's
surprised with
kind
Jerry.
something that's kind of interesting with Bryce, and it's my last point before I move on to Daniel Wilson. Um, is that uh oh yes, the homer he gave up to Springer in yesterday's game, like because he could have been done with the fifth. He had two outs, right? he had a lot of two-out trouble yesterday, which was not good. I think it was earlier in the outing, he had two outs, and then it was three straight singles. It was just a one run. I said, okay, I'm fine with that. I can live with that. Um, and then yeah, two outs in the fifth. I said, okay, he's gonna be done with like five innings. Like it's not great, but I'll take it. Um, hangs one in right there for George Springer. And I think after walking Vladdy, and you could just kind of see, like just looking at the pitches on game day, you could see him start to devolve. I'm like, oh, buddy. And they just had to get back in the zone. He's given up 18 two-out hits this year. Um, and he had given up 18. His point of hitting 18 two-out hits last year was June 29th. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oof.
all right, let's talk about something that also is frustrating. I don't know how to. This is a very interesting topic for me. Dan Wilson, and obviously, I need to put this point out there too because it's not strictly Dan making these decisions. I don't think in the modern world of baseball, just the manager is making all these decisions. Like that's just not how that works. Um, are either of you concerned with the decision
Yes.
making with something? Oh, all right, an immediate yes, because the bullpen is fascinating. And the one that was brought up, and Taryn with Sports Illustrated asked us yesterday. 'Cause we had talked about it in the press box actually before. He was like, "Is Leo Rivas hurt?" I'm like, "No." Why? He's like, "Well, he hasn't started any of these games," and I'm like, "Sure, yes." Um, and people also asked that, and so he asked Dan. It was our job. He said nope, so he's fine. Um, Yeah, I don't know. People ask about that, and largely it's the bullpen, but I'm just wondering about the coaching decisions. It seems like you both have thoughts. Jake more mildly annoyed by it. So I want you to talk about that, Jake.
I it's I don't like watching Dan Wilson manage a baseball game. I feel like he's too eager to, not too eager, he's too willing to punt a game, I think.
Mm,
Mm.
Um, if if it's more than 3 runs, he's like, okay, this one's over. Whatever. Throw Bizardo out for 7 innings. Um, yeah, and I think that's a tone setter. You gotta have the fight
mm,
in the manager so that you can have the fight in the team. Um, and that's the thing we saw this series, that there wasn't really fight um, in the Mariners, in their souls. Baseball's all about soul at the end of the day. Um, I'm a very serious analyst. I want to make that point
I
clear.
love it, honestly. It's good. We need a balance.
Um,
yeah.
I know he's got, like you said, it's really a team. It's not just Dan Wilson, and he's got data and strategies and plans, but it I'm trying not to say just it feels, because I do say it feels a lot. I like to
Mm.
utilize feelings. That's what this podcast is, right? It's like a therapy session, but for Mariners fans.
Is it?
I think he's got to change his mindset around. He has to, and I said this with the players, but he has to hate the enemy team more. Um,
Mm.
he has to want to see them get annihilated by a pitcher. And to me, this goes back to the game where Casey Lawrence pitched a bajillion innings after
Oh,
Logan Gilbert was
yeah.
hurt. Casey Lawrence comes in, gives up a ton of runs, and leaves them in. We're punting, right? But then the Mariners get back within 2 runs, which is time to treat this like a real ball game again, and they don't. They leave Casey Lawrence in for like 2 more innings. He gives up 3 more runs or something, and that game gets out of hand again. Casey Lawrence has since been um, turned into a small frog, I believe. But uh,
In Tacoma,
yeah, but the point stands, I think.
a small frog.
Um, a small frog. I guess he's not been turned into a small frog. He's not been sent to Everett. He's been turned into a pint of beer.
Fucker.
Um, it's it's a weird thing to watch. And Dan Wilson, he's been around the game forever. He knows what to say in interviews, or rather, he knows how to not say anything, which he is extremely good at.
God,
And
he's good at it.
it's like annoying how good he is at
Yeah, it is.
that.
Me
um,
no have quotes. Thanks, Dan.
when the Angels were here and we had like Dan Wilson and Ron Washington, both of whom are masters of saying nothing, um, love it. Perfect series there. I I need to see some fight from Dan Wilson. I need to see him. I need to see him get into a fight like Scott Service.
He
I
needs to
need
get
to see him
ejected.
go out there and just throw hands.
Oh,
Where's
you want a
Jesse
brawl,
Winker when you
not an
need him?
ejection.
I want to brawl
He's
sometimes,
a
you
Met
know?
now.
I want to see a little bit of I don't want to say the word violence, but I want to see a little bit of violence from the team.
It's fair.
Um, I think yeah, I want to they got to have hate in their heart. They love each
Kendrick?
other. They got to hate the Yankees. I think the Yankees are a great team to hate. Like
It's a
if we're
really
gonna
good team to hate, but you should also really hate the Blue Jays. So I'm just
That's
saying.
true. That's true.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that all super valid. I don't disagree with any of that. I think where Dan's maybe shooting himself in the foot a little bit is Scott was or got really good at explaining why certain bullpen decisions were made. Well, so and so was down, so and so was down. We know we weren't going to him unless this. And that leaves a lot more ambiguity for us of like, why did you run Casey Lawrence back out there when we came within 2 runs? We have no idea whether or not there was a valid reason for that. Maybe there wasn't really another option. I have no idea because and I always really hesitate to, I always tiptoe around bullpen decisions because I know there's a million things going on that we'll never really know about. The usage of Trent Thornton was definitely baffling to me. I guess we don't have to worry about that for 15 days or whatever. So my where I'm at with Dan is he improving? Is he getting better? Is he learning? Is he making better decisions, learning from bad decisions and making better ones, both in his field and how he's handling the media? Because I think both need improvement. They just do. And he could probably help himself out a lot if he learned to let people in just a tiny bit on the decisions he's making. Because when he doesn't give any explanation for why Casey Lawrence was out back out there in the eighth, he's not doing himself any favors. So yeah, I would like to see him learning and growing is my super
Mm,
diplomatic, annoying answer.
you sound like a teacher.
Well,
So
and
what
it's
did we
also
learn?
partially the coach in me, right? Like 8 years
Yeah.
of coaching myself, and I'm like, okay, I remember being a first year coach myself, certainly not
Yeah.
at the major league level, but it's like, can you put your pride to the side and be like, man, I effed that up. That was a bad decision. That's
Yeah.
on me. Do better next time.
Yeah. It is interesting to watch all this kind of play out. Uh, um, I'm just like, hey man, you're gonna have to say something today. And he doesn't. I'm like, whoa, you're cool. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I thought that was relevant just because, especially after a series like this, it's you kind of
Yeah.
everything, your laundry gets put out, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, don't remind me to do laundry. I hate that.
don't
I will give
laugh
him
at me.
credit. There was one decision he made. I think it was in the A's series where he did say, yeah, that's on me. Um, and I
Oh,
distinctly remember it. It stood out to me because I was like, run that back. Did he really just say that? So, um, if we can get a little bit more of that, a little more transparency is all.
yeah, for sure.
Tell me why Trent Thornton needs to be pitching in those
Ain't nothing but
situations.
a heartache.
Thank you. Um, I'm gonna do a quick rundown of injuries just before my last one because maybe then he won't laugh at me as hard about the last one.
Hmm.
Yeah, Logan Sterling again, which insert Dwayne Johnson eyebrow raise. If everything went well for him over the course of the few days, he could be on a mound by the end of this series against the Yankees, just to whether that's BP or just to throw off the mound. Um, which is weird. It's really weird. Don't like it. So George Kirby, yes, I mentioned it already. He did his rehab assignment on Saturday, and they wanted to do at least one more. Um, especially since he didn't really have the full spring training, they want to make sure they build him up properly. Um, and then after that next rehab assignment, they'll assess, maybe major league activation, of course. Obviously, Matt Brash is back. Trent Thornton had appendicitis, uh, and was placed on the 15-day. He's already feeling better. He's already around the clubhouse. I saw Edward Bizardo go, "You only needed 3 days," and Thornton was kind of laughed at that, which is nice to see Trent Thornton showing emotion. That's not him screaming at his glove. Um, yeah, he'll be out for a few weeks. I think Hollander said 2 to 3. Jackson Kowar and Trevor Gott are both coming back from Tommy John. They're both in Tacoma. Plan is for them to both spend some good time there since they also did not have a spring training. Kowar looked good, 97.6 on the fastball. Gott was all right. I think he was at 95 on the fastball. Um, and Hollander kind of mentioned that he really liked the stuff on Kowar. Um, you know, he uses the words like awesome and great, feeling really good. And so I'm like, he's gonna be in the bullpen at some point this year. Victor Robles and his loud good morning chants that I experienced yesterday on Sunday. We'll have a CT scan on his fractured left shoulder at the 6 week mark of his recovery, which is around May 19th. That will determine the next steps for him. He's been in this immobilized cast the last few weeks. If everything goes well, he can then start strengthening that shoulder up since again it has been moving. So that's nice to see. Luke Rayleigh,
Big Thunder.
last few days he's shown positive progression, but oblique injuries aren't anything to fuck around with. Luke will be banished to Arizona to rehab when the Mariners hit the road after this Yankees series. Gregory Santos had that surgery on his knee. Um, he actually gave kind of a timeline for Santos and said that he could be back around the All-Star break. I'm not holding my breath,
Whoa.
but it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because he said, "Oh, he'll be back. We expect him to be back sometime this year." And to me, that's like,
Trade
all right,
bait.
punt him down, trade bait. Yeah, someone's gonna take that on. Punt him down towards the end of the year, but no, they said the All Star break. So Taylor Saucedo broke apparently. Down with the Rainiers, he has a strained lat on his left side. Um, Hollander did kind of say they avoided a worse outcome, but he'll at least be down for a few weeks. And then we've got minor league stuff, but we don't really do minor league stuff. Okay, don't laugh.
I'm gonna.
Is there a possibility for this ball club to bounce back this week because they
Ha!
play the New York of Yankees and the San Diego Fathers this week, which
The dads.
they play the Friars to begin that road trip. They play the White Sox and then they play, oh God, the Astros for a four-gamer to close out that road trip, which is why
Yep.
why are we doing this? Um,
You don't want to spend 4 days in Houston, let me tell you that much.
No. So I guess just looking at this week with the Yankees and the Padres, is there any thought of a bounce back after the Toronto?
I think it's possible. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's kind of gotta though. It's going to be harder to get a bounce back on the road. The Padres aren't, well, no, they're pretty good. I was gonna say they're not like a super team, but they are pesky. They got a lot of fight in them. It's the Yankees. I mean, everybody hates the Yankees, right? Everybody wants to play good against the Yankees. Um, the Yankees coming to T-Mobile Park has always felt strange. It feels kind of like what the polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas. Um, this is our we get out of here. You go away. You play on the East
Go
Coast.
away.
You're not. You're one of those teams.
Whoa.
One of them northeastern teams. You know what
What?
I mean?
Nerd sees lose again.
I oh man, who do we have? Who do we have pitching these next three
Hancock.
games? Mm,
Hancock. Woo.
okay,
Mhm.
okay,
Woo
Cubs.
Freed. You get a Woo Freed game. I mean,
That'd be
Uh,
that would be
someone
good.
like food poison Max Fried, please.
he's been so good.
Uh,
All he has to do
Hancock.
is eat the
Woo.
medium meal.
Pebble.
No, he's
He's
gone.
not La Piedra anymore. Till he figures his shit out,
That's totally valid.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm a believer in if you have a badass nickname and you suck, we put the nickname in jail. Like, you know, so
It's possible to
Oh,
bounce back. And it kind of has to happen because you're not going to find that on the road, and you need to find it by the time you get to Houston next week.
yeah.
can you figure out a way to not let Aaron Judge beat you?
No.
I mean, he is the best player in the world right now. And I don't know, do you just put him on first base every single time he
Give
comes
him the
up to the plate? I'm
give
not
him the Bonds
against it, to
treatment
be
in
honest
'04.
with you.
Yeah.
The issue is Paul Goldschmidt has been
Oh yeah.
not just
Oh,
as good, but he's been really good.
good.
He's not hitting dingers, but his average is above 300 last time I checked. Um,
Oh yeah.
so
I think it's decently above 300.
you have those two guys you got to get through. Devin Williams they brought him in to be a closer. He has not been good, so they have got Luke Weaver, Mariner legend,
Mariner
closing it
legend.
down
Hey.
and the back end of their bullpen, which is so hilarious to me. And their starting rotation, Max Fried has also been unbelievable, but there's some vulnerabilities there. So you're gonna have to hit. You just are. And so if you can out hit them, then sure, anything is possible. Don't get swept.
Don't get swept.
Just please don't get swept. Because a 6 game losing streak is like that's not it's not good for the vibes. We're bringing in some sage at some point if we are on a 6 game losing streak.
The
They get
Sage does
swept.
not work too.
Sage doesn't work anymore. Yeah, they tried that last year. It's just like, oh great, the clubhouse is stinky again. Stinky. Um, oh, that's right. Isn't Jazz hurt? Uh,
Jazz is hurt.
yeah,
Volpe's
Goldschmidt's
been
hitting
mid.
349. But torpedo
He
bat.
his defense is really good. Dominguez is starting to turn it around a little bit. He's their prized possession.
Hit 3 home runs in the Mickey Mouse ballpark.
Yeah, I know. I hear
They
you.
have some
Yeah.
fake players. Who is Jorbit Vivas? Who?
They've got Cookie Carrasco in their bullpen. So
Jorvis
Yes,
like
Sadayoff, the hit character from the Thrawn trilogy?
Calkite.
Calcite.
Right.
Synthetic calcite. Calcite
Yes,
alternatives.
I
I've got a
Calcite
reference.
substitutes.
yeah, if you can maybe get to their bullpen, which again hasn't been bad, but they have some weak spots in there. Maybe
Put
Devin
Luke
Williams comes in and acts like 9 ERA Devin Williams, and maybe Luke Weaver finally falls
right here,
off a
right here, right
cliff.
here.
Weaver a
Never
Bailey
forget.
Bower? I don't know. That's my hot
You're terrible. I'm going back to the mom zone.
analysis. Yeah, don't get swept at home by two teams.
We'll get swept.
That
Not
would kind of, I don't want to say ruin this season, but it would harsh the vibes, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would.
heavily harsh. Heavily harsh the
Before
vibes.
Because this month, I mean, we saw this on the schedule at the start of the year. May was always going to be tough.
Yeah.
You're barely at home, and you're playing a lot of really annoying teams to play. The the good news is that they do have this series against the White Sox before they go to Houston. But like, if that Houston series goes poorly, that's going to be really bad
Yeah.
for like late season implications because we don't play divisional opponents that much anymore, and you kind of
Yeah.
have to take the season series.
And
Um,
hmm.
yeah.
I was gonna say what's really annoying is normally you play your divisional teams at the end of the season.
Hmm.
The Seattle Mariners Baseball Club plays the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies to end the year.
A
So
tale of two teams.
you could be in a dogfight at the very end of the season, like and it well because this division looks like it's going to be that way because
Hmm.
why not, right? Houston won't die. Like, why would you die? Um, no, the schedule said, "Fuck you." Oh no, sorry, the Rockies first, and then the Dodgers for the last three games. Maybe
Why not?
they'll just call up Kike Hernandez clones and they'll play. Well, actually, um, yeah, it's not good, guys. Anyway, I don't know. I felt like, with the consecutive series win streaks that you had at nine, like you could afford to have maybe a bad and not so great month, right? But I don't mean like get swept a bunch of times.
You
So
can't get swept a bunch of times. I think you
no.
have to find a way to stay afloat, right? While you're
Yep.
out Logan, you're out George, you're pretty much out Bryce.
Hmm.
Can you figure out a way to just stay afloat through May? Don't sink. Um, I
Yeah.
think that's the goal. I don't think we're aiming to win series here. Just don't sink.
Don't
You know
yeah.
what?
Don't capsize. I capsized last night.
Yeah.
I went
What?
sailing. That was a great time. Don't capsize. It's not fun. Water's cold. Um,
Jake is such a
I
fascinating person.
want to hear that story off the air.
Um,
it's a good
okay,
time.
let me wrap this up. I think when you talk about, fighting, that requires maybe a Dan Wilson ejection.
It does. I need to see Danielson go out there and argue with an umpire for like 5 minutes. I need to see
I
his
need
hat
him to stare up at Aaron Judge
thrown.
and punch
Yep.
him in the dick.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
At
Uh,
least let's get a hat throw at
yeah.
least,
I need to see
right?
that hat off his head. I need to see
Yes.
him throw
Yep.
it, kick it a
Yep.
couple times.
Because he's not a
Um,
small guy either.
yes. I need him to invent swear words that have never been thought of before.
Allowing an old white man to invent swear words has never gone well in the history of this country. So let's maybe
Well,
not.
that's
Let's,
fair.
all right, we're gonna get out of here before it gets even worse. Yeah, the Mariners host the Yankees for three starting tonight. I have to imagine we'll transact at some point in the next 3 days. So, all right. Until we see you next time after the series against the Yankees and the Padres, take care of yourselves, be well, do whatever you can to make today a less terrifying day. It's not a good day anymore. This ball club scares me. I'm scared. See ya.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those M's?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.